The rain poured heavily that night, drumming against the corrugated iron roof of our small home in Lagos like an angry warning from the heavens. I stood by the window, arms folded tightly across my chest, watching as the storm swallowed the streets outside. My heart was a storm of its own, pounding painfully as the words my husband had thrown at me earlier echoed in my mind. "You are too useless to keep, Amara," he had screamed, his face twisted with disgust. "You've brought nothing but shame to me since the day I married you. No child, no money, no contribution. What kind of woman are you?" The words sliced through me like a blade. I had spent 5 years of my life with Emeka, sacrificing my dreams to support his. I worked tirelessly at a local nonprofit organization, earning barely enough to cover transportation, while he built his small import business. When things got tough, I sold my jewelry to help him pay rent. I cooked, cleaned, and held him through countless nights of failure. Yet here I was, being discarded like trash because I didn't meet his expectations. I turned away from the window and sat on the edge of our worn-out couch, my fingers trembling. Emeka's rejection hurt deeply, but it wasn't just his words, it was the coldness behind them. He hadn't just been angry, he had meant it. Earlier that day, he had come home unusually early. I had greeted him with a warm smile, eager to share some exciting news about a project I'd been quietly working on. Instead, I was met with a chilling scene. Another woman's perfume clung to his clothes, and his phone kept buzzing with messages he wouldn't let me see. "Who is she, Emeka?" I had asked softly, trying to keep my voice steady. He had laughed bitterly. "Who she is doesn't matter. What matters is that she is everything you're not: ambitious, attractive, worth my time." My breath had caught in my throat. "Emeka, how could you say that? After everything we've been through together." "That's the problem, Amara," he had interrupted, his tone icy. "We've been through too much. You've become a burden. You have no vision, no value. You can't even give me a child. I need a woman who can stand beside me, not one who drags me down." His words had felt like acid on my skin. My lips parted, but no sound came out. Before I could collect my thoughts, he had delivered the final blow. "I don't want you here anymore. Pack your things and leave by the weekend." Now, hours later, I sat alone, replaying his cruelty over and over. I could have begged him to reconsider, but something inside me had shifted. Beneath the heartbreak, a spark of anger ignited. No more tears. No more silence. I wasn't useless. I knew it. For months, I had been pouring my energy into a bold idea, an innovative agricultural initiative designed to help small-scale farmers access international markets. It had started as a side project at my nonprofit job, but when I saw its potential, I began pitching it to investors. Many laughed me off, saying it was too ambitious. But last week, I had received an email from a global investment firm requesting a final meeting to discuss a potential partnership. I hadn't told Emeka about it because, deep down, I knew he wouldn't believe in me. Wiping my tears, I opened my laptop and checked my email. There it was, a message confirming tomorrow's video call. My hands shook as I clicked it open. If this deal went through, it wouldn't just change my life, it would prove to everyone, including Emeka, that I was more than what he had called me. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. The house was silent. Emeka had left early, probably to meet his mistress. I didn't care. My focus was razor sharp. I dressed carefully in a crisp white blouse and navy skirt, styling my hair neatly and applying light makeup. As I prepared, memories of the past 5 years flashed through my mind: nights of hunger when we barely had food, the time I pawned my wedding ring to pay his hospital bills, the endless sacrifices. My jaw tightened. Never again. At precisely 9 a.m., I joined the video call. On the screen appeared 4 representatives from the firm, 2 men and 2 women, all wearing professional smiles. My heart raced, but I spoke with confidence, walking them through every detail of my project. I explained how it would empower rural farmers, create jobs, and generate sustainable revenue. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Then, the lead representative, a sharp-eyed woman named Grace, leaned forward. "Amara," she said, her voice warm yet firm, "we've reviewed dozens of proposals this quarter, but yours stands out. It's innovative, scalable, and exactly what we've been looking for. We're prepared to offer you a contract valued at $80 million. For a second, I thought I had misheard. My mouth fell open. "Did you say $80 million? "Yes," Grace confirmed with a smile. "We believe in your vision." I couldn't stop the tears that welled up in my eyes, but this time, they were tears of joy. After so many years of doubt and struggle, someone finally saw me. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Thank you so much." The meeting ended with formal congratulations, and I sat there, stunned. My phone buzzed incessantly as news outlets picked up the story. Within hours, my name was trending on social media. Videos of my passionate pitch were shared worldwide, and hashtags celebrating my success flooded the internet. I was still processing it all when Emeka burst through the door that evening. He looked disheveled, clearly having heard the news. "Amara," he shouted, his tone suddenly desperate. "Why didn't you tell me about this? $80 million? We could be rich." I turned to face him slowly. "We?" I repeated, my voice calm but icy. "When you told me this morning that I was too useless to keep, did you think you were talking about a future millionaire?" His face turned pale. "Amara, I was angry. I didn't mean it. Please, let's start over. Forget everything I said." I laughed bitterly, a sound filled with years of pain. "You didn't mean it?" "No, Emeka, you meant every word. And now I mean this, I don't need you anymore." I picked up a small suitcase I had packed earlier and headed for the door. Emeka lunged forward, but I held up my hand. "Don't you dare touch me. You had your chance to stand by me when I was building something from nothing. You failed." With that, I walked out, leaving him standing in stunned silence. The following day, my face was splashed across every major news outlet in Nigeria. Photos of me shaking hands with Grace went viral. Messages poured in from women who said my story inspired them. But beneath the celebration, I felt a quiet sadness. I had once loved Emeka deeply, and part of me mourned the life we could have had if only he had believed in me. One evening, as I sat in my new office overlooking the city skyline, Grace walked in holding a tablet. "Have you seen the latest video?" she asked with a knowing smile. I shook my head, and she handed it to me. On the screen was a clip of Emeka, standing outside our old house, crying to a reporter about how he had lost the love of his life. The comment section was brutal. I handed the tablet back to Grace with a sigh. "People think success is just about money," I said softly. "But it's really about knowing your worth." Grace nodded. "And never letting anyone define it for you." As I stared out at the glowing city lights, I made a silent vow to use my wealth and influence to uplift others who had been told they were useless. My story wasn't just mine anymore, it was a beacon for every dreamer who had ever been doubted. The days following my announcement were a whirlwind of interviews, meetings, and congratulations from strangers across the globe. My face was everywhere: TV screens, social media feeds, newspapers. I was no longer just Amara, the quiet wife of a struggling businessman. I was Amara Obi, the visionary entrepreneur with an $80 million deal that promised to transform African agriculture. But amid the flashing cameras and celebratory messages, a storm was brewing in my personal life. Emeka began calling nonstop. At first, I ignored him, letting each call go to voicemail. But his persistence only grew. He sent long, rambling text messages, alternating between apologies and accusations. "Amara, please forgive me. I was a fool. You can't just throw away 5 years of marriage. You owe me for all the sacrifices I made." The irony made me laugh bitterly. Sacrifices? I had been the one sacrificing everything while he chased empty dreams and other women. One evening, as I was reviewing contracts in my new office, my assistant burst in, looking uneasy. "Madam, your husband is here," she whispered. "He's causing a scene." My chest tightened. "Bring him in," I said calmly, though my pulse quickened. Moments later, Emeka stormed into the room, looking far from the confident man I once knew. His once pristine suits were wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. He dropped to his knees before me, clasping his hands together. "Amara, please," he begged, his voice cracking. "I made a terrible mistake. I didn't mean what I said. I was under pressure, and I took it out on you. Give me another chance." I stared at him, unmoved. Memories of his cruelty replayed in my mind, the disdain in his eyes, the other woman's perfume on his shirt, the way he told me to leave as if I were nothing. "Stand up, Emeka," I said coldly. "You look pathetic." He hesitated, then slowly rose to his feet. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but think about what we can build together now. $80 million, Amara. We could be unstoppable." There it was, the real reason for his sudden remorse. Not love. Not regret. Greed. "You don't see me," I said softly, but my words cut like knives. "You never did. All you see is money and power." His jaw clenched. "And what about loyalty? We're married. Don't I deserve a share of your success?" I laughed bitterly. "Where was your loyalty when you were parading other women around? When you told me I was too useless to keep?" He flinched but quickly regained his composure. "That was a mistake. I've changed." "No, Emeka," I said firmly, stepping closer. "You don't get to change now just because I've succeeded. I built this without you, and I will continue without you." His face twisted with anger. "So, this is it? You're throwing me away like trash?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm letting go of dead weight." I signaled to my assistant, who promptly called security. As they escorted Emeka out, he shouted over his shoulder, "You'll regret this, Amara. No one will stand by you forever." His words echoed in the room long after he was gone. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was he right? Success could be isolating. Already, I could sense some friends and relatives growing distant, unsure how to treat me now that I was wealthy and influential. Later that night, as I sat alone in my penthouse apartment, I reflected on everything. Emeka's betrayal, the sudden fame, the endless responsibilities, all of it felt overwhelming. But deep down, I knew this journey wasn't just about proving him wrong. It was about proving myself right. I was no longer the woman he once dismissed. I was a leader with a vision, and I would not let anyone, Emeka or otherwise, dim my light again. Still, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that his threat wasn't empty. Emeka was desperate, and desperate men were dangerous. And something told me, this wasn't the last I'd hear from him. 2 weeks later, my life was moving at lightning speed. The agricultural project had officially launched, and our first group of farmers was already being trained on new techniques. International investors were flying into Lagos to meet me. My name had become synonymous with innovation and hope. But behind the bright headlines, I felt a shadow following me everywhere. It started subtly. Anonymous calls in the middle of the night. A strange car parked outside my new penthouse for hours. Once, during a press event, I caught sight of a familiar figure lingering in the crowd, Emeka. I knew he wasn't finished with me. One rainy evening, as I was leaving my office, my driver opened the car door for me. Before I could step in, a voice hissed from the shadows. "Amara, we need to talk." My heart skipped a beat. Emeka stepped forward, his face gaunt and eyes bloodshot. He looked like a man unraveling. I took a step back. "You shouldn't be here." "Please," he begged, his voice shaking. I've lost everything. My business is gone, my so-called friends have abandoned me. You're all I have left. That's not my fault, Emeka, I said firmly. You made your choices. He dropped to his knees right there in the rain, grabbing my hand. I was wrong, Amara. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Please, let me come back. I swear, I'll change. I pulled my hand free, anger rising in my chest. Change? You told me I was too useless to keep. You mocked me, betrayed me, and threw me out like garbage. Now that I've succeeded, you want to crawl back? His face twisted. Because we belong together. Everything you have now should have been ours. No, Emeka, I said, my voice cold. It should have been mine all along. You just never saw it. For a moment, silence hung between us, broken only by the sound of the rain. Then his expression hardened, and his voice dropped to a chilling whisper. If I can't have you, no one will. Fear surged through me. I turned to run, but my driver intervened, shoving Emeka back. Security guards rushed over and restrained him as he screamed my name like a madman. That night, I couldn't sleep. Emeka's threat echoed in my mind. I realized he wasn't just bitter, he was dangerous. I filed for a restraining order the next morning, determined to protect myself. A few days later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Grace, my investor partner. Amara, have you seen the news? She asked, her tone grave. My stomach dropped. No. What happened? There's a video circulating online, she explained. Emeka is accusing you of stealing the entire project idea from him. He claims you built your empire by betraying your own husband. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. What? That's a lie. I know it is, Grace said calmly. But lies spread fast. You need to address this before it damages your reputation. I hung up, my hands trembling. This was Emeka's final attack. If he couldn't have me, he would destroy me. I called a press conference that very evening. Standing on stage before hundreds of flashing cameras, I told my story. I spoke about the years of sacrifice, the nights spent working while Emeka dismissed my ideas, the moment he threw me out and called me useless. And then, I looked directly into the cameras and said, no one defines your worth but you. Even if they laugh, even if they doubt you, believe in yourself. Because one day, they'll have no choice but to see you for who you are. The room erupted in applause. Later, as I walked off the stage, Grace smiled at me. You didn't just clear your name, Amara. You inspired millions. I exhaled deeply, knowing the battle was finally over. Emeka's lies faded into nothing as the truth stood tall. As I gazed at the crowd of young women cheering for me, I realized something profound. True success isn't just about wealth or recognition. It's about freedom, freedom from those who try to break you, freedom to write your own story. And with that, I vowed to spend my life helping others rise, just as I had risen from the ashes of Emeka's cruelty. Because in the end, the greatest revenge wasn't proving him wrong. It was living fully, without him.